It's the Weather Xtreme video. This is the afternoon edition for Thursday, the 6th of October. I'm James Spann. Of course, Matthew is getting all the attention, which is certainly appropriate. Alabama's drought worsens. A lot to discuss, so here we go. We'll start with the water vapor satellite view, and you can see a nice trough in the western states producing cold, unsettled conditions there. We've got some thunderstorms in the battle zone between the cold air and the warm air we have here, and of course, Matthew approaching Florida. Our numbers, temperatures in the 80s. Fort Payne 82, Tuscaloosa 88. We stay warm through Saturday. Temperatures drop a little bit early next week. And again, you can see that nice cool air mass over the northern states and a very tight gradient across the Great Plains. You go from Kansas, Wichita's around 80. You go back to Goodland, Kansas. They're barely out of the 30s with a strong cold front there. Frost and freeze warnings in effect tonight. Parts of Colorado, Nebraska, Kansas. And, of course, hurricane warnings in effect for the Atlantic coast of Florida. An enhanced risk of severe weather for the rest of today and tonight through parts of Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, and Nebraska. And a marginal risk on the Florida Atlantic coast with Hurricane Matthew. And then tomorrow, a marginal risk with Matthew. The greatest tornado threat is going to be offshore with the system the way it's lined up. And, of course, here the story, it's the drought. We can't buy a drop of rain, nothing for the next 7 days. This valid through Thursday of next week, and the dry spell will likely continue beyond that. Here's a look at the rain expected from Matthew. The really big numbers offshore on the east side, and there's a very tight gradient inland. Amounts on the immediate coast could wind up with 5 to 8 inches, but you work your way down to Orlando, and they get 2 inches, and Tampa Bay with under 1/2 inch. In the tropics, a new hurricane on the board, Nicole and Matthew, a pair of hurricanes out in the Atlantic, and we should mention that wave approaching the Windward Islands, not expected to develop in the short term. Hurricane Nicole is going nowhere. Steering currents have collapsed there. It just meanders about in the broad zone between Puerto Rico and Bermuda for the next 5 days. Remains to be seen if this can be pulled westward back toward the United States. But Matthew's a big-time storm. Now a Category 4. Sustained winds, 140 miles per hour. The central pressure under 940 millibars. Moving north-northwest at 14. There has been a recent northward jog, and let's hope that continues. But again, it's expected to generally move northwest. Getting a pretty good look at the eye now on the Miami radar. It's about 135 miles to the east-southeast of Fort Lauderdale. Tropical models, most all are in on the loop idea. You got a few outliers that take it out to sea, but you can see the bulk of them bring it back towards South Florida. Is a much weaker system next week. The GFS does the same thing. This is the ensemble, and almost all the members are doing this now. Very good agreement. A full loop off the South Atlantic coast of the United States with this thing coming back towards South Florida early next week. And again, we stress it will be a much, much watered-down, weaker system at that point. Take a look at some model output. First off, this is the high-res NAM early tomorrow morning. It's got the center awfully close to Cape Canaveral. The GFS just slightly west of that position. And the European in very good agreement with the GFS. The net effect is going to be about the same, so model agreement is excellent here. And, of course, that's a very, very worst-case scenario for the Cape. NASA's done all they can do to protect their gear there, but you can see, of course, that the really, really high winds are off in the Atlantic, but still, that's going to be a very rough ride for the coast. This is a storm that is life-threatening. There'll be major structural damage. Mobile homes can be flipped and destroyed. You'll have a lot of infrastructure damage, coastal flooding, storm surge of 7 to 10 feet in spots. We've not had one roll up the coast like this in quite a while. This is the projected wind speed coming off the National Digital Data Forecast base. And these are the projected peak wind gusts. And you can see all of those coastal locations from West Palm Beach up to Daytona are in excess of 100 miles per hour. But notice the very tight gradient as you go inland. The max winds around Orlando would be 50, 55. And these are gusts, not sustained winds. And then you get over to Tampa, and you got this gust of 20 to 25, 30 miles per hour. So again, the clear problem is right on the immediate coast. And again, here's the official track. The guys have bought into the loop solution, which is in good agreement with the modeling. And it will be a tropical storm when it comes back. There's going to be a lot of upwelling. The water will be cooler. But again, it's the last thing you need if you're trying to clean up damage from the first hit is a second hit, even if it's a weaker tropical storm. So here we go, model fans. This is the GFS, the 12Z run, valid tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Nice trough well to the north of here. Down below that, 1 o'clock tomorrow Central, 2 o'clock Eastern. Matthew is sitting pretty much on the Florida coast near Daytona Beach. We're warm and dry with mid-80s. Saturday, 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central. The system just south of Charleston. Alabama dry. We'll expect a high again Saturday, probably low to mid-80s. And Sunday, Matthew moves away from the coast. Our high will drop to near 80, and this is Monday. We should be cooler with highs in the 70s. We start the day in the upper 40s Monday morning. Matthew is a tropical storm headed back towards South Florida. And Tuesday, it's over South Florida. How about that? And again, for us, Tuesday should be dry and pleasant. The low around 50. The high will be in the 70s. And Wednesday, Matthew is in the southeastern Gulf. Nicole is still hanging around off in the Atlantic, and we're dry. And this is a week from today. This is Thursday the 13th. Most of the wave action up north, we stay dry. I say we stay dry. There's actually a green patch there, but I don't think we have enough moisture return for any showers. We'll keep it dry. High should be in the low 80s, and a broad surface low near the Yucatan Channel that would be what's left of Matthew, and Nicole is moving out to sea. This is the end of the forecast period. This is Sunday, October 16th, 588 ridge on the Gulf Coast, and again, it's a dry look for us. Precipitation for the next 10 days, not very encouraging. Sure looks like a dry pattern here. We are pretty much a dry spot in this driest month of the year, and the drought conditions will only worsen for our state. So be very careful with outdoor burning and conserve water. You know the deal. Numbers, highs mostly in the 70s and 80s, and lows mostly in the 50s across the board here for the next 10 days. That's it for the Weather Xtreme video this afternoon. We'll have notes in the blog. The next video here by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you can't catch us this evening on the live stream or the television side, ABC 3340 News at 4, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless.